Are we filming? Yes, we are. So, here is my filofax Portland yet again. And if you have seen last week's video, you will have seen me using this Portland with this modification, which is essentially the cover for the ring mechanism, and instead of having the rings, I've removed the rings and I've got a series of these plastic tie wraps. If you haven't seen the video, then have a look at that video. But this came out of here. But as part of my series where I show you all sorts of experiments pertaining to paper-based productivity systems, here is another version, and for the purposes of comparison, I'm using the same filofax Portland. So let me put those to one side and show you what I'm doing. So I've de-ringed it. So basically I have taken this cover, I've removed it, and so all you're left with is the basic sub-assembly for the rings. Now, I'm deliberately leaving this in because I want to replace these, or indeed, in the fullness of time, I might replace these with a full set of rings again. Who knows? But I want to keep my options open with this Portland because I've only got the one Portland. But I just want you to imagine that this has been completely de-ringed, so I remove this base completely. So there's nothing here other than the leather, okay? And I want to show you what I believe to be a very, very useful way of using a mini filofax. Just imagine you're carrying this, and then just imagine you're carrying another. So this is a Guildford Mini Extra Slim. I want you to imagine that in here is your diary and anything else. So you are using this in the traditional way that people use filofaxes. But on the road, you need something else. You need an inbox because maybe there's not enough room in here. Okay, so that is the assumption. So you want something that is fairly bulletproof, i.e. it doesn't have rings which can be bent or damaged or squashed if it's in your pocket, but you also want to be able to use this to get through a lot of paper. Or you want to use this almost like a mobile office, an accompaniment to your main filofax. So let's open this and have a look at what we've got here. And the reason why this binder is in the way I'm going to use this is so much better than the Guildford Mini Extra Slim is because of the pocket. So you've got a pocket, a deep, full width pocket here. It does make it a little bit more bulky compared to the Guildford Mini Extra Slim. You can see that potentially this is bulkier, but notwithstanding that, it's still pocketable. The format is still more or less the same size. And you will recall that on this one, I've stretched the pen loop so that it can take a Kaweco Sport pen, and the top stays permanently in the strap. I never have to take that off. And you'll also know from previous videos that I have removed the strap so that it can more readily slide into a pocket without the pocket snagging the pen loop. And once it's in a pocket, it's being held closed. It doesn't need a strap. So that's just a quick reminder of why there's no strap here. If you haven't seen the previous video, have a look at the previous video, because this Portland features in several of my videos because it's a nice binder to work with. It's a nice one to modify, and the leather on this is just superb. because unlike the Guilford Mini X Slim, which is one filofax model where you get an awful lot of cracking here and the leather is just falling off, for some reason the leather on the Portlands, even though this has been heavily used, and I'm not the first owner, but I've used this heavily, for some reason the leather is standing up really well and resisting to cracking. So fantastic leather. I can thoroughly recommend this, and I've had them in more than one size, and I've not come across cracking of the leather on any of them. So a really, really good base for what I'm about to do, and it's very, very simple. Let me just get a sheet of A4, and I'm just going to fold it in half. I don't have to be very, very exact, and to be honest, I'm not going to bother punching holes. I'm just going to fold it once, folding it twice, folding it 3 times, and just by magic I have potentially 8 sheets of A7 paper, which fit perfectly here. So what am I going to use this A7 paper for? Well, I'm not going to cut that, because I have got, in good old fashioned Blue Peter style, I have 10 sheets, 10 of these sheets, and I have folded and cut all of them, so I now have exactly 80 sheets. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a bulldog clip, a mini bulldog clip, and I've chosen 80 because it's just about the maximum you can squeeze onto here. It's probably a little bit too many, but I'm going to use 2 bulldog clips. Okay, so we got 2 bulldog clips here. Why am I using 2 bulldog clips? Because the mean time between failure is multiplied by the failure of that times the failure of that. So let's say one of these will fail once in 100 days, and you've got 2 bulldog clips. The chances of both of them failing on the same day is 1 in 10,000. So it's really, really worthwhile, if you're going to use a bulldog clip to secure a bunch of paper, to actually have 2 smaller bulldog clips rather than one big one. And also there are advantages in the form factor. And then this is basically an inbox, as you can see. So you can turn the pages, and you can maybe pre-punch them with holes, so you can add them to another filofax if you wish. But for the sake of demonstration, I didn't bother doing that. I've just made 80 of these sheets, and you can do, well, what I do is I just use one issue, one task, for instance, per page, so that then you can take them out and juggle them, and then you can fit them here. You can do what you want, but there's no duplication of effort rewriting out what you've already written, because everything is applicable on one page. So you've got 80 sheets here, and they are securely held. And then when you are out and about, you can fold down the clip handles, if you like. Now look at that. It's in your pocket. These are flush, more or less flush with the top of the leather here. So there's no real chance that you're going to have problems with the sharp edges of the bulldog clips damaging your clothing. It's very neat. It's it's an elegant way of doing this. And as you can see, there's no chance of damaging any rings or bending the rings, because there are no rings. It's as bulletproof an inbox as you can find. And in this particular example, an ability to hold 80 sheets. These sheets are 50 GSM bank paper, which is thinner than normal, because I find I can get more paper in this using this method, so it's thinner paper. But at the end of the day, it doesn't. The paper quality doesn't really matter. It's the thinness that is the advantage. And to be honest, I mean, you know, I write with my fountain pen here, my Kaweco fountain pen, and I can write a note, and I'm not really worried about bleed through because I'm only writing on one side of the page, so it's not a problem. And to be honest, it depends on the ink, but there's not much bleed through, so it is what it is. But the crucial thing is, this is a fantastic inbox, a note-taking device. I would argue even better than a small A7 notebook. Very hard to get A7 Moleskines. I don't think I've seen an A7 Moleskine. I have seen an A7 Rhodia Webby, a web notebook, but I don't know whether they still make them. I used to use them, but the company I bought them from, which was the only one I could find, have now gone out of business, which is a great shame. But I haven't seen an A7 Rhodia Webby for a long time. So this is A7. So smaller and arguably therefore more pocketable than a pocket notebook from Moleskine or Rhodia or whatever that are A6 in size. This is A7, and it's small enough to put in a jeans pocket. And this is how I would use this. If you have some paperwork, I would use it as a mobile office almost, because you get a sheet of A4 and you fold it fold it twice, so it's in quarters, and it just so happens that a mini-sized filofax back pocket perfectly fits A4 folded into two, like this, folded twice, so it's in 4 pieces. So this is A4 but folded twice, so it becomes A6. And to be honest, A6 is far too big to fit most pockets, for say a pair of jeans anyway. And you can see it's twice the size of the A7. So A7 is perfect, but this particular binder, it doesn't necessarily have to be this specific binder, because there are other filofax mini-size models that do have this full width back pocket, but it's the back pocket that not only allows you to carry some larger paperwork if you fold it, but it also means that there is some protection afforded for the rather sharp bulldog clips. There's nothing you can do that, but in this, using them in this way, it's unlikely to damage your clothing, and you can easily put that in a pocket. There is one other thing that I would do if I was carrying this. Now, you will have seen last week this. This is part of my ultra lightweight notebook in inverted commas, where it's part of a single sheet of A4. Let me actually just slot it in. So you've seen this before. It's tricky to put in, but once you fit it in, it slides in, and then you have effectively the world's lightest notebook, where effectively you have 16 sides you can write on, and then you can open it out and then cut it, and then you can hole punch it or pre-hole punch it. But this piece of card, which is 2 pieces of card stuck together with duct tape at 90 degrees, so you get rigidity this way and you get rigidity this way, because they are mounted at 90 degrees to each other. What I would do with this is, if you are writing on this, it is a little bit on the flexible side. So how would I use this? Well, I would put this in here, so that's absolutely fine. So it's out of the way, and then at near the top of the paper, if I was writing here, everything is effectively, you're leaning on this, and as you go further down, the problem is that when you get near the bottom, your hand is falling off the edge of the page before you got down to the bottom. So what you can do is, this is how I would use this. So you have this like this, and as you're writing, so you waggle this down, you move it down a bit, and you move it down almost to the bottom. So effectively, your hand is always resting on a firm surface all the way down to the bottom. And if you are standing up and doing this, if you're waiting for a bus or a train or in a foyer of a hotel, you can write your notes neatly standing up, and when you're finished, you can just put the card under there, screw the pen back on to the pen top, fold these down, and then job done. Absolutely done. And I actually think that this is certainly more robust than this, which is a little bit delicate, but as an exercise in doability, as I say, it's worth looking at and worth considering. But if you don't necessarily need, if you don't necessarily need the repositionability of either a ring binder or an alternative to a ring binder like these, then I would argue that a D-ringed filofax, mini size with a back pocket, is arguably a very, very, very useful and efficient and robust way of capturing ideas and notes on the move in a very, very small package, which means you can leave your main filofax, if you like, in your pocket or your bag. You've not got too much in one place, because you can rapidly get to the point with mini size where you've just got too much stuff, and you may find that it's not going to work for you in just one binder. So this is, I think, a powerful combination. I think the argument is a good one for having this kind of system. Which would I choose? Would I choose a ring mechanism or something like this? But let's just say a ring mechanism. Would I go for something like a traditional binder with rings, or would I go for a D-ringed filofax like this and using bulldog clips? Well, the jury's out, but I think both have their purpose. This is certainly more practical from an information access point of view, where you've got several different directions of reference you want to go for, particularly if you have a diary. But if you're just looking for an inbox where you are able to write note after note, if you are in a period where your creativity is flowing and you just want idea after idea after idea or note, this is a very, very powerful argument, because you can get so much done so fast. And if you pre-punch the holes, it means you do not have to rewrite your ideas onto a separate piece of paper before adding them to here. You could literally tear off this and you've got the holes pre-punched, or you could pre-punch them later. Although personally I think pre-punching them is good, because if you pre-punch them, it means that you instinctively write around the holes. You avoid writing over where the holes are. Whereas if you write and then punch it, then there's a risk that you've inadvertently written all the way to the edge of the left margin and not left yourself any gap. So pre-punching is the way to go if you want to add to another binder, I think. So I hope you I hope you like my idea, but if you don't like it, then let me know as well. Comments are the key here, I think, because this, I think, might well be talked about possibly more than most of my videos. I think this one could be a recurring theme because it is so useful, it is so bulletproof, it's so reliable, and certainly from the EDC point of view, I think this idea will be well received, especially for those that are currently using a small notebook, like a field notes book, or a Moleskine Kaye or something like that. There's lots of these books around with 48 pages, i.e. 24 sheets. But from a point of view and perspective of being able to do this more cheaply, then this is an option. And from a point of view of cost, here are 80 sheets. So that is 160 sides. But if we just go look at sheets, and I know I'm banging on here, but just from a point of view of cost, there are 80 sheets here. A typical Rhodia or Moleskine Kaye, which has 48 pages, effectively that's 24 sheets. So this is nearly 4 times the number of sheets. Total cost here in the UK right now, using a ream of paper costing £5 for 500 sheets of A4, this represents 10 pence. And I'm recording this in August 2023. So this is 10 pence worth of paper. And this is the equivalent of several pounds worth of books, these small notebooks. It's the difference in price is enormous. And if you're just using one of these small notebooks to jot down rough ideas on a temporary basis, you're not going to be archiving. You're not writing a journal and such. These are just ideas you're jotting down. Then, if you add the cost of this over the course of a year, you're looking at the saving of several £100. A heavy user might save over £1,000 by doing this, rather than. Have I got a notebook here? Yes, I have. Yes, hold on a sec. Okay, this is an A6 one, but this is an age bag one. Very, very nice quality paper, by the way. But that's A6, as you can tell. It's not quite A6, but it's kind of A6. But one of these, I think, is about £3, and it has 24 sheets, 48 pages. So you can imagine the difference in cost between doing it this way and doing it this way. And it's a nice tactile experience. Leather cover, easy carry, lovely, good quality paper. Well, not necessarily good quality paper because it's only bank paper, but the tactile experience of using this is very similar to using this, I would argue. But on that note, I think I'm going to leave it there because I've been banging on too much. But thank you for watching, and until next time, goodbye.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to contribute to the channel in some way by liking, commenting, or subscribing, I'd really appreciate that a lot. And consider becoming a channel member for more. Thank you for watching.